Hello, welcome to Sister Confessions. Thank you for joining us. We're sisters Michelle and Desiree, and this is our journey, our experience, our challenges, our confessions. This is just us living life and sharing our stories along the way. So thanks for joining us. Hello, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm good. Today's a good day. I always open with the weather, but
We talked about
I'm
the
gonna
weather
do it
last week.
again.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah,
indoors.
I'm
All
indoors.
right. Yeah.
It's cold and windy, but sunny. And this week, so if the listeners are not aware, I'm in California and you're in Ohio. So it's a big difference. And this week, we got rain for 3 days straight. And that is very rare for where I live. It's about when it rains off and on, maybe for 3 days, but it rained nonstop for 3 days, and there was floods and things. It was a lot,
Landslides and
lots of yeah. And the first after the third day, it was morning, and there was clouds, but there wasn't rain, and I was taking my son to school, and he was looking out the window and he said, "The sky is blue," because there was blue patches, and he said, "It's so beautiful, everything looks so clean," and he was just so excited, and he said, "I Earth is so nice." He said it like he came from another planet and he's visiting, and it made me very, like, yeah, stop and smell the roses type thing, like, here we are on his way to school, and he could be like a lot of us when we're rushing to get to school or work or whatever, thinking all these things of what you have to do and stressing out. But he was enjoying the moment of what he was looking at, and it was very nice to hear,
refreshing. So sweet.
and a nice reminder.
Um, I feel like I might have shared this story early on in the podcast, but I have to share my story about how beautiful the earth is. So maybe my first or second year after I moved to Ohio, probably around March or something after a long winter, and I walked out and I heard birds chirping, and I was like, I haven't heard that. No, I didn't even know that I hadn't heard that noise. I was like, the birds sound so beautiful. So I get in my car, I roll down the window, and I'm like mesmerized and distracted by the birds. And I crashed into my husband's car, backing out of my driveway because I was like, I love the birds. Yes, the earth is amazing. Yes, your son. I love that.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I
it's good.
I do remember you sharing that, but you make me think of the Disney movie Bambi, where it's winter and then spring, the first day of spring, and you hear all the birds are out
Birds
chirping,
coming
and
out.
it's nice and pretty, and that's what you made me think of because you have a real winter where you live.
And also the yeah, every spring it's always like, okay, well, actually every winter, okay, the darkness and the absence of the light, like you just appreciate it more. Like there's beauty in that. You don't appreciate it if it's always there, but if it's
Yeah,
gone, it comes back. It's just kind of like just life in general about all the things.
yeah, very true. I was actually just talking about this to a coworker yesterday. That you mentioned to me that they sell artificial sunlight lamps for the winter over there because of how long you go without seeing the sun, and that how much it affects people, and that you have that lamp on where on your desk.
I did whenever I worked my last job, I had it on my desk because there was no windows, like it was inside. And I learned that by getting seasonal affect disorder when I first moved here. I didn't even know seasonal affect disorder was a thing. And then, like, I experienced it. So then the next year I bought it on Amazon. You know, you can get anything on Amazon in 2 days for 17.99 or whatever. And so I had it on my desk at work. So I just always had it on at work. But right now, my desk is in front of a window, and I always have, which, if there's not a lot of sun, I guess it's pointless, but it feels good to just see outside. So we'll see next month if I'm like, I can't do it anymore, then I need to bring out that lamp. But so far, so good.
And it's so true. I mean, it only rained for 3 days here, and everyone was like, us Californians were like, "What's going on? We need the sun." Um, we need the rain, but, people were, like, starting to feel a difference of not having sun, uh, and it wasn't like I can't even imagine living, where Alaska? Where is it?
Yeah.
That it gets
It's like
it's dark
6
for, like,
months or something.
months
Yeah.
at a time? Yeah, they must have things, artificial lights because it affects you or your body, not mentally, but also, I'm sure there's health effects on that too.
Hey, if you're from Alaska, we would love to hear your experiences. Chime in. I don't know anyone from Alaska who lived in total darkness for months on end. Yes, we'd love to hear from you. So let us know.
How's your day
And
going?
day is going good. Hey, when we're recording this, Super Bowl is tomorrow. So we are super excited because we are big 49ers fans over here. So it's exciting. Although, and I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. So it's like
Oh,
going to be a
double
great game.
whammy.
Yes, going to be a great game. Okay, you called us out last podcast because the last episode we both gave updates and they're both about our kids, and you're like, "Hey, we talked about our kids." So, Michelle, how are you doing?
Yes, I am I'm doing good. I have my moments, but I think we all do. My my main thing is now that I know my quote unquote triggers or things that affect me more than the average person for whatever reason that I do know of. I I'm in my head a lot, reassuring myself and reminding myself, this isn't that bad. It's you're feeling these things because of this, and I talk myself through it. I'm able to handle it, manage it. It at first it feels overwhelming of whatever it is. I'm thinking right now of a situation at work with a customer. Um, so I have to, when you're dealing with people, a lot of most of the time it's not about you. It's about what that person is going through in their head and things like that. And all previously or other times I would take things personal, and it's a lot of self-talk. It's a lot of reminding and calming myself down, and it very helpful. So I'm doing good.
Good. That is really good and insightful. For any new viewers who are hopping on or haven't been on this journey with us, I highly recommend you watch all past 22 episodes. But if you do not have time, Michelle uh, uh, has depression and has not been on medication consciously for the past few months and has been working on managing that. And
Yes.
so I love hearing your updates on that of how are you doing with it. And sometimes Michelle will talk, of course, not on this podcast. She'll call me like, "Oh, it was a really rough day," or hey, I had this small victory. I can't, I had this enlightened experience. I was able to work through this. So I appreciate being on this journey with you. And whether you choose to take medication or not, regardless of that, even just being mindful um, through all of the things is so important. So thanks for sharing
Yes,
that.
thank
So
you.
you're doing good. Good.
I'm doing good, yes. How have you
Good
been?
is
We
good.
we have skipped a couple weeks. We had illnesses in our house preventing us from recording. Everyone's good now, as I'm gonna call. Sorry. Um, but uh, it's nothing serious or nothing bad. It's just that time of year, and I have young children that it just passes around throughout the house. Um, Hence why we've been absent for, I think, 2 weeks. Sorry, guys. Actually, by the time that we put this
Exactly.
out, we won't be absent. So, scratch that. Throw that
On tr-
away.
We're on track. We're on track now.
Okay.
Um,
How how have you been?
well, we did record a podcast and then illnesses and stuff and then I got sick too. I ended up going to the hospital a couple weeks ago. So we've had this podcast in the queue that I wasn't able to get to, and we're just releasing it and uploading it, and so we're on track now. Sorry anyway. So besides all of that, yeah, so I a couple of weeks ago I had this horrible abdominal pain, excruciating. Like it started on a Sunday night and then I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't even toss and turn. It hurt so much. Like, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like, do I go to the hospital? Going to the hospital feels so extreme and sounds so expensive. Just you just never know. I don't know. I think of that stuff. But and my kids were in bed and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to tough it out until we get the kids to school, and then I'll ask my husband to take me to the hospital. And I was up all night just in horrible pain. So we went to the hospital and they did, first of all, okay. We went to the hospital and they did a CT scan, and I asked him, I said, "Can you just scan my whole body while I'm here? Like just check everything, head to toe. Like can we just give me a once over?" He's like, "No, you're here for abdominal pain. We're just scanning your abdomen." Turns out I had an infection in my digestive tract, which was very easily treatable. They gave me antibiotics and pain medicine. But while I was there, I got to watch Grey's Anatomy. I love that show. Have you ever watched that show?
Maybe one episode, like
Okay, that
10
doesn't
years
count.
ago.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in my own Grey's Anatomy episode. Um, and then, but he did say that they found something on the CT scan. They found multiple things actually. And so I needed to have some follow up appointments. So a few days later, I went and saw a urologist in which they found a tumor on my kidney and a few other things, and the other things he said no problem, not a concern. But the tumor is unknown if it's cancerous or not right now, so I have another CT scan coming up at the end of March in a few, I don't know, like 6 weeks or so, to see if that's cancerous or not. So a few things came out of this. First of all, so grateful that I had this infection that like brought on the CT scan, because otherwise I would have never known. And who knows if it's something to be concerned or not, or something to be concerned about or not. But at least it's like we know the size and then it can be tracked, and I'm super grateful for that. And what I went in there for originally, super easy to treat. So I'm feeling so grateful for that. And then the other thing is, I am so grateful I'm not much of a worrier. I don't worry a lot about the unknown. So, some people who I've talked with over the years, they get, oh, I have this and that. They get really, really worried about the unknown. And I'm feeling fine. I feel whatever happens, happens. Like if I do have cancer, then maybe I'll worry. But right now I don't know. So there's no point in being worried. We'll just see. And that has been my last couple of weeks of just a ton of follow-up appointments and ER visit and medication and all of that stuff. Yes.
Well, Desiree, this is not news to me. Like it's not the first time you're hearing it, thank God, because if you reveal this to me
Confession.
right now, I'd be like, hold up. But it's still like mind blowing to hear, and that you don't worry, which is beautiful and awesome. And I think I honestly think makes a big difference in healing. If you concentrate, you or anyone concentrate on the
Worst
negative,
worst case scenario.
worst case
Yeah.
scenario, yes. I believe I really do believe that that helps make things worse, not only in your own mental health, but also physically, and making everything worse. The fact that you're not even, probably not even thinking, what are your thoughts? You're thinking about it, you're just like, "I don't know, so I'm not gonna even think about it?" You're saying not worry, but
Yeah. Yeah,
can
that's
you
a great
explain more?
question. I no, I'm a couple of things. I feel bad because the past couple of years I have not been focusing on my health. And so in one way I feel like I've done this to myself. Everyone, if you've been on this journey, I've been in counseling and I've had a really emotional, stressful last couple of years, emotional turmoil, I'd say. And so that's another component. I feel like just the stress, exactly what you just said. Like if you're not in a good mental health space, then it can take a toll on your health for sure. So in one way, I feel a little bit bad. Like, oh gosh, I used to be a big juicer and I loved going for walks and hikes. And the past couple of years, I haven't been focusing on that. I've been doing distracting myself. Last episode was distractions, distracting myself with really bad eating habits and not really taking care of my health. So, and then also, if it is cancerous, I've thought about it. Okay, so a handful of times, not often, but a couple of times, it just like, oh, if I have cancer, that feels like that's gross in my body. Like I just feel like, ew, it's like a bad thing in my body. I need a juice. I need to drink more water. I need to look into herbal things to help, like homeopathically help my body, just in general too. So it was kind of a wake up call, whether it's cancerous or not. It's just it's time for me to really focus on my health. I've been focusing on my mental health and emotional well-being and relationships in my life the past 2 years now. It's time for me to focus on my health. So, not worried about it, but have thought about like, oh gosh. And actually I'm in this Facebook group, this well-being Facebook group, and I had shared that, and this one woman, she was like, I was in the best shape of my life and I was training for a marathon and I had this. So not to say that health issues don't come up about with healthy people too, but I think it's more prevalent and um higher chances if you're just not in good health. I've probably gained 30 pounds in the past 2 years as well. It's just I haven't been caring for my health. So I'm feeling a little remorseful in that way, but not worried about if it's cancer because I just don't know. I don't, if that happens, then we'll cross that bridge. I'm assuming it's not. I have faith.
Yes,
I'm like, well, it's probably, and we have like a baseline. So now we know, if I don't know what it would be just tracking it. And here's a question. Actually, this is probably going to make me sound really stupid, but if you have like a tumor and it's benign, can it become malignant or cancerous? I don't know that. Do you know?
I don't know that for sure. I wanna say yes,
Yes. Oh,
but that's why they wanna get rid of it,
or
uh,
track it,
or try
or
yeah.
or both.
I
Okay, I don't
think,
know.
this is okay, we're not professionals,
It's weird.
we are not doctors. I think, where it is, if it's hard to get to, they'll track it, but if it's something that they can access, they wanna remove it because it can turn into something.
I think
If it's
you're right.
not
I
if it's
do
not
watch a lot of doctor shows. They remove a lot of tumors.
yeah.
I would say I'm a semi-professional. I watch a lot of doctor shows. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted. Confession, I may or may not have cancer. I don't know. I don't
A huge I think that's the biggest confession that's
know.
ever been made on the show.
To be continued. We'll see what happens when I have and it's kind of unfortunate. They scheduled my next CT scan um
Like, in a month.
2 months. It was like
You
7
know what?
weeks later or something.
I just find that so strange for if it's possibly cancer, you don't wait that long.
Maybe all the more reason to say it's not. They're not concerned. I don't know. I don't know. They because the first CT scan I had, it was with contrast. Have you had an MRI with contrast before? I have not.
Yes.
Okay. And she said it's it's gonna feel like you're peeing your pants and you might taste metal. And I had so many questions about all of this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm just inquisitive. And I just asked her all these questions. And it was the craziest sensation. It did feel like I peed my pants. I did not taste metal, but I was like, how does that happen? Like, why am I having this weird sensation? Um, so he said, and at the ER was phenomenal. So we live in Ohio. I went to Cleveland Clinic. It's a really great hospital here. He said, well, we're going to schedule it for in a month because we need to let your um, body rest from the contrast. So when they went to schedule in a month, the soonest
Oh,
one was like a month later. So I don't know. I'm like, you're the professional. I have no idea. Just schedule me the soonest one. I don't know.
wow. Okay, that makes a little more sense, I guess. I don't wanna get too personal, but I'm gonna ask, is are you gonna have to do this contrast again?
Yes,
And
I
then
will
you have
have
to
to.
wait another 2 months for your next appointment? I guess it's, uh, they're prolonging it because they keep putting contrast in you and your body needs to flush it out, yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the question too I had for them. Um, I assume from my semi-professional experience watching all of the doctor shows that they would biopsy a tumor to test it. So I asked, like, how do you tell if it's cancerous? I asked the urologist that. And this was actually really interesting because I asked about biopsy and he was like, no, not, no. He said, when they do the contrast, there's like normal blood flow to all of your organs, but if it's cancer, it's a lot more of blood flow. So it would be like show a lot brighter on the scan. So I thought that was interesting too. I was relieved, like, okay, well, if you can find out it's cancerous by just a scan, then I'm grateful for that. What happens after that, if it is, I have no idea. I didn't ask those questions. I'm proud of myself. I didn't even Google it at 2 in the morning when I had those horrible pains. I'm like, I will not Google it. I don't know, because obviously I'm dying of cancer right now. If you Google it, it's like worst case scenario. I'm not Googling it. All I know is here's an embarrassing I will say it, a confession. Um, should I say this? I don't know. The pain was excruciating. So the next day, after I went to the hospital, I found out what I had. Yes, Michelle, front row, please.
You've had kids, so in comparison,
I, it's funny you say that. Okay, I'm a regular blood donor and I hate needles. And every time and even whenever I went to the hospital, they put an IV in my arm to do, well, they did a blood draw and then that's how they gave me the contrast. And I told the phlebotomist, I said, okay, I've had 3 children. I know I'm strong. I feel like a baby. I could cry right now. So I feel like that's kind of I'm a big wimp with that stuff. So yes, I've had children, but even with needles and blood, I'm
okay.
like a baby about it. So that's not a good, I'm not strong.
Well, you were saying the pain in your stomach,
I don't
excruciating.
know. It was bad.
Okay.
The next day I woke up and it was always worse in the morning. I sat up and I was paralyzed with pain. I just could not even stand up. Like I was kind of wanted to go in a fetal position. I was just like almost at tears and like this is so bad and I have to pee so bad right now. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I can't stand up and I have to pee. So I called my husband. I'm like, JR, I don't know, get a bowl or something. Like I don't know what to do right
I
now.
can't move.
I
Yeah.
can't
Wow.
move, but I have to pee. So he runs. This is way too TMI, but here we are. So he brings up a bowl. I'm like, you know what? That's probably, I can't aim for a bowl. I can't even stand up. I'm like, grab a towel. So he goes and I got a towel and a bowl. The end story is luckily I just took some deep breaths and I'm like, I've birthed 3 children. I could do this. And I made it safely, everybody. I did not have an accident, but the mornings were really, really bad for probably like 4 days, 3 or 4 days was just horrible pain. But
Oh, wow.
antibiotics cleared it up, and here I am. Everybody take care of your health. If there's anything you can do to prevent things, all we have is our health, right? Like that's it.
Similarly, what we mentioned earlier about being appreciative of the sun, like it's always there. You're don't think nothing of it. You do what you do, and then
Yeah.
you don't have it. You're like, wow, I took advantage of my
Yeah.
health.
Right.
That I, yeah.
And I had
Uh,
yeah.
this is probably TMI too. Do you know what causes that infection?
No, they said it's random, but it said lack of exercise, smoking. I'm not a smoker, but obesity. I'm probably obese. I don't know. There was 5 or 6 things. When I Googled it, the doctor at the hospital said it can just happen.
Okay, like gallstones or
Yeah. And I did ask, is there anything I can do to prevent it in the future? And he said no. And so last summer I had shingles. I don't know if I'm sure I shared that. Last summer I got shingles. And so I'm like, maybe this is just what happens after you turn 40. Like I'm just falling apart here. This is just, I don't know. It's not good. It has been a rough
well,
couple of years. So
yeah,
I know that mental health, emotional well-being plays into all of that. So
I really do believe that. Um I used to be sick all the time
mm,
when I had depression. Um I never connected the two. I just figured I had a weak immune system. That's all I would just say that. I it wasn't ever anything serious because I was young, or that doesn't make a difference either. but it was never, thank God, it was never anything super serious, but I was sick all the time, and I
Colds
was,
and whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
colds and all the colds,
Yeah.
so many things. All of those things, when I was in it, like, when I say in it, I mean, um, not getting out of bed, depressed, and then getting sick, and I never connected the 2 until right now as we're speaking,
Mm,
that I it's like a domino effect, things that are going on with you mentally, depression or anxiety or mental, what people have, like, nervous breakdowns, um, those the nervous breakdowns emulate, like, heart attacks, like, people think they're having a heart attack because of what it's doing to you physically, and it's a that what it's called, mental breakdown?
or
It's
like
not
a panic
a
attack.
panic attack,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I definitely believe that our physical well-being is connected to our emotional and mental health, and,
Yeah.
uh, you can't do one and not the other. If you're gonna focus on your physical health, but not your mental health, you may still be getting sick all the time because you're not mentally healthy. Or you're mentally healthy. If you're mentally healthy, you're gonna take more care of your physical
Yeah.
well-being.
Yeah. Yeah, they all, if you're a healthy mind, body, soul, right? Like
Yeah,
it goes in together, and one off can throw the other off. I do need to read that book. It just keeps popping in my head. Your body keeps score. I think a couple
yeah,
friends have told me about it. We've talked about it in the podcast. I have not read it, but I'm living it
yeah.
right
You can make
now.
your own book.
0. My Desiree 0. That's the score. Not good. I'm trying. All we could do is try our best. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Like I said, I this is probably the biggest confession that's been made so far, and, like, kudos to you to share this experience that what you're going through right now to the whole world, potentially the whole world.
I just think of our 38 subscribers. It's 38 people in my mind. But if it's a whole world, we might edit this podcast now. Yeah, I'm an open book. I would say for me, I don't mind sharing those things. I think the one of some of the most difficult things I've shared on this podcast are like my challenges in counseling or things that I just wasn't clear on. Um, so this is like, I don't know. It's up to the doctors. It's not up to me versus like in counseling, it's up to me and I don't know. So I don't know. We'll see. To be
I
continued. I'll keep you guys
I
updated
feel it is up to you though.
if I have
Um,
cancer or not.
uh, I'm pausing because, like what we just said about our mental health and how you
Mhm.
view it, and you're doing great right now of not
Yeah.
worrying.
Yeah.
So I
That's true. If I was like a a, a wreck about it, about this unknown, it would be harder to share. Yeah. But
yeah,
I'm okay. Like whatever happens, happens. I think that's also faith in that way of like, well, and faith in the medical system too, faith in God and whatever happens, happens, and faith in the medical system, technologies and medicines and yeah, I don't know. Now, am I
thank
getting
you.
worried about it now, Michelle? Darn it.
No, no, no. We're let's move on.
I'm good. I'm good.
We're
We'll
beating a dead
see.
horse now.
I'll keep you guys posted. We'll see what I
Thank you,
find out. I'll
David.
let you guys know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where do we go from here? Oh, I do have something. We went to a marriage conference last weekend, I think, recently. And it's this great conference. It's called Marriage for Life. We've been to it, I think, 3 or 4 times in the past 3 or 4 years. And it's in Amish country around here. And this year they had a comedian pastor, which is a great combo. Like it's a faith based, it's Christian conference. And it was hilarious. He was talking about um women's brain. I'm sure you guys have heard of like spaghetti and waffles.
I have.
Okay, so
I
it's like
had-
women's brains are like spaghetti and men's brains are like waffles. It's like compartmentalized. And he was like, and when he was talking about the men's brains, he was like, so the men have their favorite box, their favorite compartment, and that is the nothing box where there's nothing in it. And they like to take it out and leave it open. And it just was so funny. He really was joking about the stereotypes of men and women, and the challenges of marriage. And oh, here's another thing. The second day of the conference, he talked about um, we all are from, he was relating it to different countries. So one country has their, every different country has their own language and their own hand gestures and their own values. And he said that's kind of like how we are. We all have our own different way of saying things and languages. And there was a website where you could find out your, and there was 4 countries, and you could fill out this questionnaire and it told you what country you were from. There was control country, fun country, peace country, and perfect country. And they all have their different like characteristics within each country. You have like a main country and an adopted country. So it was really cool. JR and I took the quiz, and yeah. So we had a good time at the retreat. And yeah.
What's your country?
Do you want to guess?
Fun?
Yes. It's fun country. Um,
Are you just saying yes or is it true?
it's true. It's fun
Oh,
country.
okay.
Fun country. And then it gives you a weight, like a score. And right below it was perfect country, which
Oh,
I was a
wow.
little bit surprised because I'm not generally a perfectionist. But I guess I kind of am with like particular things, not in general, but with particular things. So that made sense to me too. Yeah, it was a cool experience. My husband was Peace Country. He's Mr. Peace Guy. And so we had a fun time talking about all the different findings of that. Have you taken those? Well, I mean that's what they have, a lot of different personality tests. And have you taken those like through work or whatever?
Yeah. Work, I've done one through work and I was in not a good state of mind at that time. And I did not like it. I thought, I have a therapist. I don't need to do this at work. Like, I had a very bad attitude about it. Of course, I didn't say that, but I had these thoughts, and I feel like it impacted my answering.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I didn't like I was not in a good
Yeah.
place, a mental space at that time in my career. So I I've taken a few of them through church. So when I went, I don't attend church anymore. I have some thoughts about church, organized religion now, that I don't agree with. But when I did attend church, I participated in everything like what you're doing, and we took those quizzes, those tests to see who you are as a person in relation to the person that you're with, your husband or wife or who you're dating,
Mm.
and to see if you're a good match and things like that. So when you said that, it made me wonder what other couples like you're the fun and then you get the peace and then were there a lot of more fun and pieces or were
Oh,
there uh it would be interesting to like see it as
well,
what was it oh the the word escapes me right now uh a
like
test, not
cumulative.
a test, a
Uh-huh.
study of like
Well,
who
this test
shares
is
with
not
who.
it's not church based. I guess they use it in the military, he said, and it's called the Fun Page if you want to look it up. It's not religious based whatsoever. And I don't know if there's studies about it. I don't know. They didn't do it at the conference that I was at, but um yeah, and then it also talks about your motivations in life, your top 5 motivations, and it was cool to be able to see my husband's and see mine and
Yeah,
see where we're at, and the whole point of it is, okay, this is a language I speak and that's the language he speaks, to
right.
like understand each other better. Yeah, I appreciated it. Yeah, that's good. I also took a test. It was like a strength and I think it was a strength and weakness test at work, and I was not in a good headspace, and I did not like the results either. I was like, this is definitely not me. Like I
Mm,
thought I answered them. I thought
mhm.
way too hard on the questions. I didn't just like automatically answer. It was like, is this me or not? Maybe a little bit,
Yeah,
mostly, not really, and
yeah.
did not like the findings either. That's when you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, I've done that too. And I was not in a good space, and I didn't feel like the answers represented who I was.
Maybe since you were in that space, that's who you were at that time in your life, and
Maybe.
you're like, "This is not me," and it isn't, but it is where you are right
Yeah.
now. It must.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
now that I look back, I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I blocked it all out. I don't know. There's no looking back.
that's great, David. I love your frame of mind, the way you live. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's not here yet.
Fun
I didn't like
country.
that part, so I'm blocking it out.
And I love yours because you're my historian. So all the stuff I blacked out, I'd be like, okay, I kind of want to remember something about that. Do you remember? Do you remember what I told you? Because I've blocked it out.
Our other sister too, she's told me similar, and I don't know how you can do that. Similar as in, I don't even know if she did it intentionally, but she doesn't have a lot of memory of things, and I've asked her, she's like, "Well, I just blocked it out." But okay, that does sound intentional, but I don't know how to I don't know how to do that. 'Cause whatever, good or bad, it's happened, it's happened. How do you stop your memory?
Recollection of it.
How
Yeah,
do you put a
don't.
wall there?
I
That's
don't want you to
great.
figure it. No, I don't want you to figure it out because there's going to be holes in my life too. If you start blocking things out, then I'm just lost. Huh. Oh, the future episode memories,
Memories.
blocking
Yeah.
things out intentionally or unintentional. Yeah.
Well, I'm very grateful for you, Desiree. I'm so glad that you're an open book, as you said, and you're able to share these vulnerable things. The whole point of all of this is I know that these conversations are not being had enough, and for people to know that they're not alone, and there's probably other people struggling with things that you're going through and don't have anyone to talk about it with and can relate to us in these conversations. So thank you for sharing. And with that, Thank you all for sticking with us these past 23 episodes. 23? 23.
This is
You're keeping
24.
track. I lost I lost track after 20. That's not even nothing. But we'll see you next time, and we have special guests that we're trying to get in the door to share their wonderful journey with us.
All right. Well, talk to you later. Thanks for joining in. Bye, guys.
Bye.